ukulele friends. I am so excited that you're going to be learning your very first finger picking pattern with me. It is my humble honor to guide you on this journey. This is orientation day. We're going to take some time maybe away from our instrument in order to develop the mindset that we need to be successful. Let's make sure we're on the same page, because my workshop experience has taught me that some people are like, oh, that's what finger picking is. Finger picking is using your fingers to pluck your strings rather than strumming. What we do with our chording hand isn't going to change. That's going to remain static. But we're going to change our approach to our strumming hand. And whether you're right-handed or left-handed, we're just going to call it your strumming or finger picking hand. That's what we're going to do. Everything is going to be about this hand. You're going to find that this course moves deliberately, which is a fancy way of saying slow. We're going to move very deliberately, taking very small steps. There's really good educational research that backs this up. When you are learning, your brain is literally building these little neurological pathways. It is under construction while you're learning. And so one of the most important things about building it is not to overwhelm it. So just kind of like how you eat, taking your whole dinner in one bite is not a very good idea. And the same thing happens with learning. We want to build it deliberately, step by step, not missing any of the steps. Even if you're a very fast learner and you think like, I got this, I'm going to move ahead, just do so with extreme caution, because I'm guilty of it myself. I think, oh yeah, I've got it. And then I push ahead too far. It looks like I'm getting mail. I'll come back to you. So where was I? If I push ahead too far, I'm going to wind up hitting the wall sooner, and that wall is the wall of frustration. So be patient with the process. Trust that I've got your best interests at heart, and I want you to succeed and have joy and be able to share that joy with other people. So just take it very small steps. Be patient with yourself. Rome was not built in a day. Consistency is so much more important than rapidity of your learning. Being consistent and showing up every day if possible. Now I realize sometimes life gets in the way, it throws you curveballs and all that kind of stuff. Been there, done that, and you have too, I know it. So being consistent, coming to practice every day for 21 days. So my next discussion is going to be, if you think that might be a challenge, I have some tips and tricks for that. Now, depending on where you're at in your ukulele journey and your familiarity with music, this program is going to take you about 10 to 20 minutes a day. And so you need to set aside that time every day. And people that have studied habits have noted that it's best to form a habit when you tie it to another habit. So, for example, you've finished dinner, cleaned off the table, finished up the kitchen, then you go practice. So you have a habit of a dinner routine. Chain your practicing to that dinner routine. Same thing, if you have your morning cup of coffee or whatever, and then you practice. Or you get back from exercise and you practice. Or you walk the dog and you practice. Something that you do on a daily basis. It's a routine for you. Chain your practicing to that, and it's much more likely that you'll get the two habits ingrained together. So that's one of the tips for getting things done. Another thing is setting a time. If you can't chain it to another habit, is saying, if I haven't practiced by 8 o'clock at night, I got a little alarm on my wristwatch or my smartphone or whatever, and it says time to practice. And it's that cue, that reminder to go and do your practice. Let's go over some of the technical details of this course. I think one of the things that is most important to you as a learning tool is the daily schedule. And the daily schedule can be printed off, but I suggest that you keep it on a computer or a tablet or a smartphone, because each day has a link to the video section, the exact video section that we are going to be using for this course. So it keeps it right there and handy, and you can go bink and it'll take you right where you need to be on the day's video. Included in that daily schedule is any of the materials that you need. Now, the other materials besides the daily schedule are the chord charts that go along with this course, as well as there is an instructional guide that goes over some of these details that we're talking about right now, just to refresh your memory and to get it in for visual learners, something that you can read, and also has some important diagrams in there that may be better than the video explanations that I give you. Another unique feature of this course is the play-alongs that I offer, not just for songs, but think of me as kind of like your exercise coach. Have you ever done an online exercise video where you see somebody, man or woman, they're doing the workout and you do it with them? Well, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you through that, and the reason I do that is because I see so many students struggle with rhythmic fluency. And so playing with others, particularly others who are skilled musicians, helps give you that rhythmic fluency that you need in order to do things with me. Now, there are a few problems with that, and if you've done an exercise workout, you might have seen what these problems are. So let's talk about how to address those problems. You might not be at the speed that I am. I try to do things slowly and deliberately, but if you need it slower, hey, you've got tools to do that. And I have also in the instructional portion of this course a link to a video that shows you how to use YouTube and speed it up or speed it down. And most of my students are saying they're having to dial back the speed a little bit. There's also an extension on Chrome, and I'll have a link to that. So if you're watching things in your browser is Chrome, there's also an extension that'll work for every video. And I hope that you find this is a useful tool for any instructional video that you're watching on YouTube or on your computer. So today's assignment is to think about how you can do some chaining of the habits, like we mentioned before. I also suggest, if you're not familiar with changing the speed on instructional video, that you take a look at the link and watch that video on how to do that, and get familiar with what the daily schedule is. Make sure you've got it located in a place that's ready to go. This is all about setting the stage. And I know you're anxious to start, and I'm anxious to have you start, but do the important foundation work first. And I'll see you in tomorrow's video where we go over how to hold your instrument and what to do with these fingers. Our introductory lesson is on making sure that your body is fluid and comfortable in order to do finger picking, because I so frequently see beginners put so much tension in their playing that it makes it really it makes an additional challenge. Your body moves best when it's loose and fluid. So I'm a proponent of a strap. If you don't feel like drilling your instrument, I've got a link down below to hug straps. Many of my students have really enjoyed a hug strap. I have a hug strap because it solved a problem with my electric uke. This hand has got to be nice and smooth and fluid. And so you want to rest it just gently on your ukulele. You're going to position it a little bit closer to the sound hole. Usually when you're strumming, you're doing your strumming between the top of your body and the sound hole. Not true with finger picking. Finger picking, you have to move back a little ways, because otherwise the fretboard, if you have a fretboard that goes to your sound hole, is going to get in the way. Using your thumb on your G string, you're going to be pulling in a slightly outward and down motion. Your thumb is kind of an outlier. It does more of a down motion. Now, taking your index finger, put it on your C string, and it's got to do an upward motion to pluck. It's very subtle. Then your middle finger goes on the E string. And lastly, your ring finger goes on the A. Pay close attention during this practice session. Are you putting any unnecessary tension in your arm? I know that some teachers recommend that you anchor your pinky on the body of your instrument. That's how I first learned, and I do not recommend it. Just try it out. It makes your hand have extra tension on it. So teach your hand just to float above the strings. So today, all you're going to do, practice with your open strings. Just practice plucking in any particular way you want to do. Practicing plucking. I will also say a note about fingernails. I don't know how well you can see that. I have a little bit of a fingernail on my, not much. I do try to maintain my fingernails free of snags so that I can keep a little bit of a fingernail more than anything because I like the sound. There's a little bit more bite, a little bit more sharp attack, but fingernails are not necessary in order to be able to fingerpick. So just play around with it, have fun, observe the motion, observe how relaxed you are, and then we'll come back on day 2 and learn the specifics of our first fingerpicking pattern. Today we're going to do things in a specific way. We're still just going to work with our picking hand, and we are going to do the first little bit more than half of the finger picking pattern. Your thumb is going to be on your A string, and I tend to think of numbers when I think about finger picking, with string 1 being closest to the ground, like the ground floor is ground 1 unless you're in Europe. And so 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've got that listed on our handouts for this course as well. Because going up is a little bit more challenging for most brains than going down, we're going to go up first. So assigning your ring finger to that first string, middle finger to the second, index to the third, and your thumb is going to take that G string or string 4. And you're just going to pluck going up your strings. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that again. So taking a look at that in close up. That's your goal for today. Just practice doing that. Just a few moments. If you have some opportunity to fit in little mini practice sessions, you can do even without your ukulele. Let me grab my notebook here for a flat surface. You can even just go dun, 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 dum, bum, bum, bum. You can just do that to help train your fingers. Pretty sweet, huh? You can do that on the steering wheel if you want. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Today is opposite day. We started going from the bottom up. Well, today we're going top down. You're starting with your thumb on the 4th string. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the chore for today, and I'll bet you've already figured out what the chore for tomorrow is going to be. I got a video for that though tomorrow, so you can play along with me. let's put the whole pattern together. I always start at the top and going 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, like that. Practice that at your own speed. Get nice and comfortable with it. Pause this video and then come back and let's do it together to check for fluency. 1, 2, 3, here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 4, 3, 2. Did you get it? Fist bump if you did. If not, just more practice time on your own. Work so that you can get it completely fluent with me and then move on. We're going to be leveling up our finger picking because we're preparing to play our first song, Amazing Grace. So we're going to take chords right out of the chord chart. We're going to do C, 2 patterns of our up and down on C, 1 on F, and then another one on C. 1, 2, 3, ready, begin. C, 2, switch to F and C. How did that go? Couple things. If you noticed, we ended on our index finger on the C string, string 3. That is correct. Right, you didn't do it wrong. I know some students go, what? Huh? It didn't end on my thumb. How do your notes sound? Is each string sounding beautifully, particularly when you go to that F? If not, this is a really good time to do a checkup on how you're chording, because if you're accidentally falling down on a string and you're getting that dead sound, then it's because you're not arching over that string enough with your fingers. So it's a really good check on your finger positions for your chords. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, ready, begin. 2, switch to F, back to C. 1, 2, let's do it again. And C, C, F, and C. Do it again. And C, C, F, and C. How's that going? Now, let's do it with the G7. We're going to do the pattern again out of the chord chart, 2 C's and 2 G7s. 1, 2, 3, ready, begin. C, switch to G7. Okay, so is your G7 sounding nice? It's a 3-finger chord. Hopefully everything is sounding nice and beautiful. Let's go back and do that again. 1, 2, 3, ready, begin. Switch to G7, G7, back to C. I threw an extra C there for you. Okay, this is your homework. You've got probably 7, 8 more minutes to just work on those patterns, and they are written out in your guide to the Introduction to Fingerpicking course.